In this brief tutorial, we're going to go over how to shorten a link that is too long and maybe messing up your website display. So let's take a look at what kind of problems can be caused by a long URL that you're trying to place on a page. This could be your home page, it could be a news story or a discussion board post. For this tutorial, we're going to use a news story. So let's go into the admin page and we'll go to the news application. And I'm going to create a new news story. And we'll just call it show long URL for this example. And then here I'm going to put in some sample text. Here is the link. And then I'm going to insert the link, which is a really long link to a Google chart that I happen to find on the internet. And this is a really long link. If you look, this just goes on forever. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and save the story. I'll turn off notifications for myself. I'm going to go ahead and save it. And there's our new story. Now let's go back and look at the news page to see how it looks. Okay, so you can see a bunch of things have happened. In order for the browser to display this long link, the browser by default doesn't want to wrap text that's all continuous. If you have a story like this one down here where you have multiple words with spaces, the browser will intelligently wrap long sentences by breaking on spaces or sometimes on hyphens or other punctuation. But when it's a long string that's just all one set of characters strung together, the browser will try to keep it all together, thinking it's one word. It doesn't really know what a URL is versus an English word or any other language word. So you can see what it's done. It's stretched it out and tried to keep it all together. And you can see by the scroll bar down here that it's made a very long width box out of it because it's just kept it all non-wrapping. And you can also see what's happened too is over here, you can see our menu is gone, but it really isn't gone. What happens is our menu on this website is centered. So what's happened is this is the center of the page right now because the page has been stretched so long by that URL that the menu is now in the middle. But at first glance, you'd say, wow, where did my menu go? So you can see there are a number of problems that occur. This just isn't readable. If I had other paragraph text in this article, that text, even if it was normal text like this, just normal paragraph type text, that would be all stretched out. Like it would continue to go on, even though it could wrap. The template itself of the page has been stretched so wide by this URL that normal text would also continue all the way to the end and then get to here and then wrap back again. So it really just makes everything kind of illegible and unreadable. So let's take a look at how we can fix this. And there's actually a really simple way built into the editor. So I'm going to go over to here because that's where I can find the edit button now. And let's go in and edit this article. Let me get rid of this long link that I have here that's causing all the problems. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put in something that will display, text that will display very succinctly. But behind the scenes, it will actually be a link to that long URL. So what I could say is click here as my link text. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight that and I'm going to click on the edit link button in the toolbar for the editor. And when I do that, it comes up with this box and it shows the text that I've typed in already because I've highlighted it. And it says click here. And we're going to leave that. That's what we want. But here I'm going to paste that really super long link. And then I'm going to save it. And now you can see what's happened. This has turned into a link. It's highlighted it and put the underscore underneath it, just like you would see in most hyperlinks. So now when I save this article, let's see how it presents itself. Now you can see it presents itself normally. The box only goes to the standard page template width. We don't have a scroll bar anymore down here. So this looks like the way it should look. The screen has not been stretched super wide. If we had more normal paragraph text, it would appear normally here. And then here's this hyperlink that you can see when I highlight it. It's a clickable link. And if I click on it, it will go to the web page. And there's the Google chart that I happen to find with the long URL. And so that's how you take a really super long URL that's causing problems on your page formatting and turn it into a short link by using short text that actually is a link to the longer URL. And the way this shows up most times, like I said, is you'll see that out here someplace, you'll have a story that will, well, actually all the stories will now stretch really, really wide. In fact, I want to go in and show you what I mean by that. If we were to go back and replace this with the original URL and save it, I want to show you something that's kind of a telltale sign. If you notice, even this other article, which has no long strings in it, no single word long text, even that one gets stretched way out. Because what's happening here is the page is just trying to show these individual boxes at 100% of the page width. That's basically how the page is coded. It says, draw this box, this article box, and every other article box on this page, draw that box the full width of the page. Well, once you have one story like this one that stretches it all the way out to the far right margin and keeps pushing and pushing beyond the margin, once you have one box that's that long, the other boxes also will display far out. They will also display the full width of the page, because now the full width of the page is all of this. So you can see how that causes problems. That's what you're looking for. If you see a page that suddenly isn't formatted properly, this often happens in news stories where the news page will look great, and then all of a sudden somebody will post a new news story, and then they may not notice it at first, but then days later or weeks later they'll say, hey, the news page is all messed up. It's it's scrolling all the way over here. We got this scroll bar we never had before, and all the text is cut off on the right hand side. It's not really cut off. It's just way out here, under the scroll bar version, the scroll bar region way to the right hand side. So, but it looks like it's all truncated. You'll see all these long stories that are just being truncated. And usually what you want to look for is at your most recent stories that were posted, you want to see if you have any long text. It's often a URL, but sometimes people will have some other text that's just very long and not breakable. The browser can't find any punctuation or spaces in order to do word wrapping, the default word wrapping that it does to start on a new line. So that's what you want to look for when you see your web page format really messed up all of a sudden when it used to be fine. It's probably some recent content that was posted. And so in that case, what you would do is, like we just did, go in here, you find your long text, whatever it is, you'll cut it out, and I'm going to cut it. Oops. I'm going to do that one more time. Going to cut it, and then you'll type in some text. And actually, you don't even have to type the text in first. You could just say, in order to insert the new link, you could click on this button first, paste your link in there, and then in this text field, you'll see it's actually copied the link over again. So I can just delete that and say, click here. So this is my URL up here that I'm going to link to. This is just what I want to display, which should be much shorter in order to resolve this issue. I mean, it could be longer. It could be click here for the chart. That's fine. That's multiple words. It'll wrap. It's not even that long anyway. So as long as you keep it reasonable, it won't cause that problem where it stretches way out beyond the right margin. So I'll save it, and you can see it inserted that text again. And when I save it, this should look just fine. There it is. Click here for the chart. So that describes how to fix one of these problems. Like I said, you'll notice all of a sudden text is being truncated off the right-hand side of the screen. And in reality, you probably have a scroll bar. It's not actually being truncated. It's just way off the right margin of the screen where you can't see it. And this can happen on your home page. It could happen on a news story. It might happen in a discussion board if somebody posts a really long URL. So when you see that, that should be your first thought is there's some text like a URL or something else that's unbreakable. And that is how you create the short URL or the long URL with a short link by editing it and creating some display text with the link behind it. Okay, I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and thank you very much for watching.